Hello, this is Gerald Johan van Was with some small demonstrations of letter combinations as formations. And in this video, the demonstration of dog, the word dog versus God, two opposite words, against already an explained leading inspiration of pa, which also comes from the Latin pater, or father, and aap, or monkey. And first, a little bit of the theory where we are with the letter P, because pa and aap are both leading, as with A, from the letter P, and it is a kind of mentality that is performed with P. So P in my system it's also in the numerical system. It has a certain position in also the order of things, how we give an order to things. And this order you can find in the scheme, and I will give you a part of the scheme so to tell you where we are. There are three kinds of options that you can have in picking out letters and behaving yourself towards these letters. The first one is very objective, and you make some choices and you follow up some of the physical aspects of the things, and this is based upon everything what you know. Here are the first category of letters, the blue part. The second part is it is where you no longer see the objects so clearly, so you have to follow them a little bit because they change and they go to somewhere else, so we have to follow that, and you have to experience a little bit like how you have to behave, how you have to communicate and so on. It's an ongoing process which you can experience. At the end of this process, which is very spontaneous, you have the letter P. The end of this system is letter P. So at that point you want to make a conclusion. You think that you have experienced it all, although it is completely based upon your choices on what you learned. So when you use the letter P, you have two options of doing something with that. Actually, what you experience, what you can experience, what you should have experienced, what you should not have missed, can still be missed at that point, because underneath there was a learning process, and which has its own laws, its own necessity to go towards it. It's the full context, it's how relations themselves are. These are a different category of letters. It's the process of what's everything what is going on in the background of what things really are. But there are so much there that is participating there, which is still unknown, or which is completely unknown, and which you can only know to accept a part that it is also unknown. But at this region where you have the P, the conclusion of all the experience that you know, you will make a conclusion from either you will use what you know and go downwards like the pa, the pater, the paternalistic society, or you continue to go up, and actually you don't know how to go further, because you don't know what the experience is based upon, but you continue with what you want and what you want to do, and you fill in the unknown with an idea and follow that. And that's how man at that point, also in that point in history, you can compare it to that point in the evolution, you had this breaking up of two directions that you could choose, and the one choice was actually comparable to what the monkey does, how the monkey behaves. It continues to experience what it already knows and follows what it knows and do everything what and it doesn't follow any rules, of course, at all. It follows the rules of I want to experience it again, just to get what I want. So it is trying to control this whole process. It leads the making of experience. The leading part is the A, so what I want, what the ape wants, and wants to take control of its experiences. That's what the ape does, and the exaggerating of that makes it as if he himself goes beyond the unknown aspects of all of these things and uplifts himself as the god of his experiences. Even though he doesn't know how his experiences can be learned gradually, how there can be new things added, it goes for it 100%. And that's why the opposite, one of the opposites that comes there is the god, because it wants to become a god. It wants to be to grasp what it can't grasp and do with it whatever it wants. The opposite, I hope I can explain it better, a little bit better later. The other opposite, the PA, which goes downwards, it concludes from what it knows. The P in general is the conclusion of the experience. It follows the known experience, as I explained. So it goes back to everything what it already experienced, and also wants everybody to follow that as well, and it wants to follow it further. It also bases itself on what it knows. And I explained there were two kinds of friends, that you have the PA, you have an extension of PA is part or horse. It is, I've shown it that it's a little bit more than PA. It also goes to beyond its own regions. So it is a friend at that part. That's why I explain it. And at the end of that cycle of following up, of forcing the known down, you have this obedient dog there, and that will stimulate everything that can be reached. It's at the end of the cycle. It seems to be very at the bottom of this patriarchal society, as if it is not even worth as much as the decision-making PA. But the dog has this letter that we will explain today, and that's one of the solutions which will bring us something extra to the experience. You can't conclude the experience. You have to go beyond the experience and see what caused the experience, what will go beyond that. That's a different kind of experience. God as well has this G there. So this G, what does that do? Because from the P letter alone, it's just trying to make a conclusion. Once you try to make a conclusion of everything that you try to reach there, you will miss the essences of what is going beyond the dog and the God essences that you have there, that could reach different regions which actually you don't know. And that's what the G is going to do, as you will see in a moment. So you have either this leader, this daddy, which concludes itself already on whatever experience it already experienced, and it bases itself upon the known, and it will make further the things more known by followers and by further follow-up. The up, or the monkey, is also the other leader then as well. He will strive to go beyond already what it already knows, even what it doesn't know, and reaches further into the skies, whatever it can reach and grasp. It's basically the directions from the letters alone, but I will explain a bit further. So we are how did this process went from within the system of evolution. You see here that there is a system of evolution. It started with the decision-making elements, where you had start from what you decide, and you start from which is the A from Adam, the A from Abraham, whatever, all these first starting points. What it was a choice. It was a choice to follow. Adam followed it spontaneously towards its experiences. The end of the process with the P, it will try to learn further from the known things to go with that, trying to reach beyond it as if it's going to repeat itself automatically. And in the definition of what it had experienced, it wants to reach the next stage. The next stage is actually all what is not known yet, and it has a whole process on its own. It has letters on its own. It has different thinking of its own. It has its own letters. And we will go to these letters very quickly to see what can it bring next after the first conclusion of following our own path and see what it got us so far. It doesn't stop there. So after this evolution where the ape or the monkeys had made its capacities and the PAA or patriarchal society exploited all of its capacities, the next stage will experience us what we don't know. And it has a lot of letters, the QVG, the HR, and the I and S. I basically is find another application in S with its own effect and its own effect of experiences which you don't know beforehand. Is basically is like the English word it is, it works, it is there as well, and it works there as well. That's the ISIS or ISIS, basically in life energy itself, how things work in daily life in all of its relations. And the extra helping tools there were the H and the R, which are in the middle of the scheme. So it's in the developing stage. Where does it develop? Where does the unknown elements develop? H and R are also accidentally for the word horse. And the horse, we already know, it will take us to extra places. The H is going to take us to the active places and show us there the extra interactions that you can have. The R, which stands for interactions in not in space but in time schedules and in relationships and so on and so on. So this horse will accidentally, the horse is when the horse was exploited by man, it also increased its borders. It went to places it didn't expect before. It went to relationships outwards it didn't expect before. So it helped them to discover a part of the unknown which weren't there before. It's basically something that spontaneously goes. It's just a simple association, but it's a good association to start from pa to part or horse in that way. The other animal, the canis or dog, is the extra experiences that it also can bring us when we go beyond our space, when we go beyond our normal relationships. It will also bring us relations between sensitivities, unexpected moments, unexpected whatever, which the dog represents at the other point. In Egypt, it's the Anubis, which also brings us beyond our normal experiences, beyond the world of what we don't know at this point yet. It is a connection to something of experiences which we normally can't have. I will go further with that soon. The other three letters that we are left are basically actually the three basic letters of foundations. The first letters in the scheme, ATK, DNY, QVG, are actually the three reference points in that you can have in each on each level. The QVG at the last level shows also three directions that we don't know. We don't know where it goes to in Q. We don't know what we can use in V. And we don't know where it will bring all the processes in G. This is all these letters are having an aspect of the unknown. So of course it's diagonal revolutions, which means it's evolutions, it's changing. All these changes, we don't know where it comes from, we don't know where it goes to. That's basically all these kinds of expansions and evolutions that are underlying are connected with the G letter in that way. So when we have these opposites, God and dark, it also means that they are connected with this idea. And we will show again AAP and PAA. So the AAP is trying to make capacities further from how it knows, and the PAA wants to exploit all of its capacities of what it knows. Basically the AAP, or the monkey, wants to conquer. It wants to conquer God, but as a matter of speaking, it tries to exploit and it wants to conquer the experience and exploit that part. The PA, or paternalistic society, wants to have people who obey what it already knows and tries to exploit all what brings further experience. But now we have, of course, the solutions, which is this unknown factor, the letter G. What is this letter G actually? What can it bring us as so further than it simply will follow everything what these people or these centers try to achieve, the monkey or the pater? You could almost miss this aspect, trying to extend everything that you know again and again and again, and try to perform it further and further. The G border that you have there in the two aspects are actually what until there what you can see. You cannot see beyond it. It's your limit of reach. It's the limit of what you can still extend. There are still extensions beyond it. It would be sad to miss those things, what you can have beyond what you can control. And the forms themselves are also having this form. So we have the D, which is pressing open, with the O, which is a round form, and the G at the end, which is the border, a border which gives connection to something else, to something which you don't see there. Actually, it's like the ears and the nose from mostly from this animal. If you have again this scheme, I will explain a little bit better how we perceive the word with the three foundations on each level. On the first level, when everything is physical, we see the object very clearly. So we see, yeah, it's either in the middle or somewhat in the form, or at the edge where we can't see it so well. These positions and forms are clear. When that's no longer clear, we have three other center positions, because we see, okay, it's a little bit less it's a little bit vague from where the object starts and where it comes from, but we still see the directions: horizontal, vertical, diagonal, with the three letters D, N and Y. And with this also, the direction is no longer clear and it's very vague, and the things are very far or far-edged. We can still find its positions. So we have this middle position, we have this volume position somewhere, or you have it somewhere at the edge. That's the edges. So you don't see where it goes to. So there are unknown aspects in it. It's a bit vague also. So there at the end, but you know already it's going to somewhere else, and that's important. Now, what is that somewhere else? So the form again, as I showed you, there was the D is then this. So we start from, let's say, a known form. This D is pressing it towards, pressing it actually to deformation, to another stage, another form. It's changing, and with the O, it's changing towards an environmental association, in which the G shows to where we can see it. There's a border there, but it goes beyond it. It goes beyond that environment. What will happen then beyond that environment if it's reaching beyond what we know, beyond what we can see? And where do we find these elements that it's going beyond what it see? Actually, and that is actually the clue. What a dog can do with all these borders, and what it represents is that it happens, or all these forms happens at the borders, where like the nose, the tongue, the ears, even the eyes. There's some emphasis on this form, which gives you the impression, oh, it can go beyond it. This nose can smell more. This tongue can taste more. He can maybe even see more, and he will definitely hear more. So the whole environment, and that's the case with G, there's an environment beyond the scope what you can see. It comes from somewhere, it goes from somewhere, we don't know where it comes from, but there's a connection made to it. So everywhere where you see this kind of borders or associate this border and express it as the letter G, it also wants to say there's an expression there that there is another region beyond it. With a G, it goes towards a different region where, in this case for the dog, all of its senses is bigger, and so this dog is not just obeying the experience from its master, the man who domesticated this animal, who wants it to perform and do as it likes. What it accepts this as a pressure point, but it goes beyond it, because in a way this leader, which thinks he is already there, this man who thinks who is the ruler of it all, rules downwards with the dough again, and wants everybody to perform it with the dough again. This dog has a perception. In a way, it sees that it is quite handicapped, the mankind, to experience more than it can, but he can experience more. So even though there's a domestication, there's a dominance, all of its personal experience, its gaining, goes far beyond the limited confinement of its leader. It senses more, it smells more, it sees more, and it's and so on and so on. So Pa, the daddy, had some friends. The Pa had the part, or the horse, which connected to movements that it couldn't do before, crossing its physical borders, moving it beyond the borders, and connect there as the horse, or part, with the R, and the D in the part is crossing there in that combination. And then the dog itself, the next friend from that point of position, from that point, it also gives the persons the extra experience to be able to sense more, to produce more effects, to even produce more fun. And this fun is there in the tail, this fun is there in the ears, it's all there. Now the opposite word, dog, we already had. There's this unknown aspect there. Of course, God starts from the unknown. So basically you can't do much with it. It's compared to the object that we know, that's the object, the blue part, that's what we know, that's what we think to know. So the influence on it is, it comes from somewhere else with its own environmental matches and perspectives. gives this perspective to us, and it extends in. It actually extends our own capacities in a way. It also extends its own environment, and that's actually the result. The environment of reach can become bigger thanks to this. And what actually works, like this word, if you really want to give it a place in your life, what works is mostly it are certain environments that have connections to things that you don't see immediately. Some environments, it can of course be big buildings, it can be small buildings, it can be indeed a church or a hall or a music hall or even a cafe. It can be a forest, it can be a mountain. It has a reach beyond what you can see, but when you deal with it and you start to fit in, in this environment, and you sense that it also brings you further than that, it means that it is a good working larger environment than you know. And that's what it does. It has environmental conditions which pushes us, brings us beyond our limits. This is not a case of filling this unknown in. The filling unknown in is the monkey. The monkey wants to be more. Don't fill that in. Let it work in, and then it can work. This is how we present it most of it. Its origins can't be seen, but there is an influence which goes beyond our reach. That's basically what the word actually expresses. And all these helpful tools that tries to go make it our own environment bigger. Our environment is this square. We want to move. This horse moves faster. So what we can do, we can do better. We can do more now. Of course, the ape wants to do more. Goes to what it can't reach. It is one of these reaching out to the place of unknown. But actually, this is the part we don't know. The canis will bring us something extra. Canis or dog gives us also some of the experiences, that gives us the extras that we can also do. The horse will go beyond its own moves, and of course the dog will bring us things that we might not think about at that point. So we have some helpful tools there in the words. Therefore it's good to understand words as well. Words are a connection point. If we use the word dog or God, if you want to do that, we can think like the dog, it's there below there, but then we project this from our own point of vision, from what we know. Don't fill in what you don't know. It's a connection point to what you don't know. The same thing with God. It starts already for you don't know. Why do you fill this in? You cannot fill this in. It's a very unpractical word in that way. But there are things that you can experience that go beyond your own vision and reach beyond it, thanks to an environment that has it. Above, bigger than yourself, or below that. It's even some of the animals can bring you closer to experiences that you should forget. You should almost forget it. That you shouldn't think. You spontaneously don't think about that. To connect to those things that the animal can see, that the animal can sense, the animal can hear, and that the animal can be joyful about. Anyhow, think about these words, that these words can find a connection and can breach your own known connections from the point of the P that I started from. The G as the next letter was the point where it could breach the extensions towards experience that already started somewhere, but you forgot to let it extend further. Let it extend further in all directions. Anyhow, I hope it was joyful enough. Thanks for watching. This was Gerald to Avanoise. There's a website too with demonstrated words. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you like for more demonstrations. So, thanks again. Bye-bye.